What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? It is Triathlon Tech Tuesday, and I'm pumped because we are going to talk about some swimming tech, and we are going to talk about your swimming stroke rate. A few weeks ago, I did a video, and it was all about like distance per stroke. So, the amount of distance that you travel per each stroke that you take. Well, the other big piece of the puzzle is your actual stroke rate. So how many strokes you're taking. And usually the way that they describe it is how many strokes that you take per minute. So your strokes per minute. And then briefly, I want to talk about a tool, this tool here, where it can help us basically either do two things, like determine our stroke rate, and then potentially to use a tool like this to improve our stroke rate. Okay, so elite open water swimmers swim with a stroke rate of somewhere between like 75 strokes per minute and like 95 plus strokes per minute. And my stroke rate kind of roughly when I was warming up and checking it the other day was about 60. So it's not ideal. And that's pretty typical of like age group open water swimmers. You'll see numbers between like 50 strokes per minute and maybe 65 strokes per minute. I actually think that maybe I was a little bit faster when I first started swimming. Maybe it's just because I didn't have, the strength or the feel of the water. But for whatever reason, my stroke rate is potentially not as good as it could be. And I remember listening to this podcast recently where there was an elite open water swimmer, and he actually had his crew like stop him from swimming mid-race if his stroke rate dropped below 90. And so I'm really feeling like there is a significant room for improvement in my own personal stroke rate. Okay, so how are we going to go about tackling like improving our stroke rate, right? The first thing is kind of like determining what we think our stroke rate is. And I will introduce you to a really nice, easy tool that is on the market, and it is called the Fitness Tempo Trainer Pro. And it beeps at you at a particular stroke rate that you can set. And most swimmers will throw it underneath their swim cap and keep it somewhat close to their ear. Usually when I swim, I forget to bring a cap. It has a little clip on here as well, and you can actually clip it to your goggles, which works fine. I think if you have the choice, you'll prefer to put it underneath your cap and just kind of somewhat close to your ear to where the beeping isn't super annoying, but that you'd be able to hear it underwater. To turn on the Fitness Tempo Trainer, you just hold down the right arrow button. A couple of numbers will pop up. It'll be either mode 1, mode 2, or mode 3, and that's the first thing that will pop up. In this case, I'm in mode 3, which is the stroke rate per minute, and it's set to 70, which was just like a tempo that I was trying to hold kind of at a medium pace, because I know my kind of natural tendency is to be a bit slower than this, and so I was actually trying to work at a little bit faster pace. So there's two extra additional modes for your Tempo Trainer Pro. And what you do is to change the mode, you just hold down this top button up here. And both the other two modes have to do with pacing your particular swim, which is definitely something that I need a lot of help with. You can set in mode 2 your lap interval pace. So this is great for, pacing, each particular 25. Let's say you want to do each particular 25 in 30 seconds. So you want to hit a 2-minute 100, or, extrapolate that out to whatever distance you're swimming. You can set this to 30 seconds, and you just need to know that every time you hear that beep that you're hoping to be, on those walls on the 25. So something like that would help me, depending on whatever time we set it at, maybe potentially help me not go out quite so hard in some of my distance swims, and maybe hold back a little bit and pace myself just a little bit better. The last mode, which is mode 1, I should have done this in reverse order, can be used for pacing. It can be used for stroke rate also, and maybe that was the original intention, but it's basically finer detail. to setting a particular interval time, and you can actually adjust stuff by the millisecond, I think. Again, you know, here I actually have mine set to 20 seconds, but you can actually really tighten that up. You know, maybe you wanted 20 and a half seconds and really refine your pace if you want to. With that being said, because it's a little bit shorter intervals, you can actually use it for stroke rate as well. You could look at, you know, setting it as something like 66 milliseconds to, you know, equate to 90 strokes per minute. I don't know if I did that math right, but you know, you could basically, you could set your stroke rate according to seconds as opposed to number of strokes per minute if you wanted to use mode 1 as well. Okay, so this is the Fitness Tempo Trainer Pro, and it's a nice little device, you know, might be something that you guys want to throw in your swim bag. I will try to do a couple of videos in the future, just kind of like coming up with some workouts and things like that we can do. Maybe that like stroke rate ramp test, something like that where you can kind of determine your optimal stroke rate. We can look at doing some workouts like that. And then maybe in a future video, we'll also just talk about some general tempo training workouts that we can do when we're training for that open water triathlon. All right, guys, if you guys are into this sort of videos, and that would be swimming stuff like this, or, you know, it could be biking or running stuff as well, consider subscribing. There's a little subscribe button down below here somewhere. There's also like a little notification bell, and that just allows you to be notified of whenever I post new videos, which I'm trying to post about once a week. And with that being said, I really do appreciate you guys watching these videos, and we will see you guys on the next one.